G'day. So we're here with the Optitec Caravan Mover. Now this is a remote control mover and one of the choices that we have here for moving a caravan. And we're going to test it out today. What I like is that it is quite solid. Like it's a good unit here. I'm just ready to hook this up and I might not want to lift it up. So all I'm going to do here now is unwind the Optitec. So just like you have a jockey wheel that might attach to your caravan. Now in our situation, we don't have a removable jockey wheel. We've made a bracket. We've made a nice plate that bolts on to our extended drawbar. But quite often, a standard removable jockey wheel, you're just going to take that jockey wheel off and you're going to put this guy on in its place. So while it's hooked up to the vehicle, you could do this quite easily. Now I can see it sliding and moving around there. So the pro tip that we're going to see on this one is when I do then wind it back down, I want to make sure it's locked onto that ridge. And we're going to check that out. See, I can't spin it. But right now, free to spin all the way up. And I'm going to make sure this locks onto my clamp here. And I've chosen it here for my bottom clamp. So again, I've got a standard jockey wheel on this one. So I've got that guy lined up there. And I'm mostly just doing this so I can have a free spin and a free range of where that's going to go, how that's going to lock in, and what we're looking to do there. I've got this guy set up here with my little ridge forward. Let's see if that's how it's going to work on this setup and this one here. So the trick is to lock it into that ridge. And I'm going to put a fair bit of weight on this and torque, so I'm going to make sure it's done up quite tight. Now a second bracket, a lot of these brackets we can get from Optitec that are just going to bolt on to a standard drawbar or a standard chassis. We've got that one set up there now. Now I've got all my weight set up here on the jockey wheel. So I'm going to just make sure that this is now lined up to my groove. And we're going to lower that guy down. And on the other side, I'm lowering this one down. One thing I really want to do here is get it quite low on the ridge. That's always been a trick that we've been told. But I'm going to let the weight off this other jockey wheel. So that jockey wheel is free spinning and I can actually spin it up and out of the way, but let's just use it here. Now this drawbar is quite a busy place for me. I've got an ISI bike rack, reversing camera plugs, got my chains, Mick hitch on here, and lots of cables. So it's all happening, but I've cleaned all that up, hooked it all up around the back, and I'm just gonna make sure that all of this is sitting out and around the back. Now I wanna test this one first, so let's just have a quick test on here to see what I'm doing. So I've got an Anderson plug hooked up to my main battery on my caravan here. I'm going to run this across now. I will have to do some turning. So let's see about running it up there and then plugging it in here on the end. Now I heard that beep right now. Now one of the things here is we'll probably have a go at setting this up and using it, but we might forget about the brakes. So I have electric disc brakes. I'm just going to release the pressure on my brakes. Just making sure that the caravan's not moving or running away. All my weight's on there. I've got a 4 control on here. Now, once I've clicked that on, we're just gonna make sure I've got my on button and having a quick test there. Now, here is what we have or what we know about the Optitec. This is now movable on by using that fixed ridge there. It's giving me something to physically move on and run this remote. Now this is not using any other, I can't do 2 directions at once, so I am just gonna run it, straighten it out, and I am just, now that I've started using it, let's make sure it's sitting correctly. I'm just gonna make sure I've got that in there, brakes off, no chains or other things hanging. Let's go for a run. Right there, what we have is the Optitec coming out the driveway. We're gonna give it a test here now. We've got our battery monitor app set up here. So we have been saying around that 12 to 14 amps, and it does peak around 30 amps. So we've got it plugged into a 50 amp Anderson plug with a 50 amp fuse. Open up. Here we go with the remote. We've got a 2-ton Caravan here, drawing like that 12 amps. And then stopping to give myself a little turn. So I'm really enjoying using this without having to grab a handle to turn. And it's got a little bit of a set there. So it's running itself and just testing itself each time. Make sure there's no restrictions.